Hello students, I welcome you all once again to the e-learning sessions of Automobile Engineering. Myself Hardik Shah, and during this lecture series we will discuss some interesting topics in the subject of automotive electricals and electronics. Okay, we have already started a new chapter and our today's topic in this video is working of coolant temperature sensor and oil level indicator. Okay, so I hope you will see this video till the end to completely understand this topic and gain your skills in automobile engineering. I also request you to note down any queries which arises during the lecture and ask me it in comment section. So I will try to solve all the queries as soon as possible. Fine. So now let's start our today's video. So what is engine coolant temperature sensor? Now the engine temperature sensor accurately measures the engine coolant temperature, thereby it gives an indication of the temperature of the engine. Now how does the engine temperature sensor work, or what is the main working principle? So the engine temperature sensor is the type of the sensor that actually changes its resistance with a temperature. Okay, simple, resistance with a temperature. So many critical engine functions such as the selection of the air fuel ratio, fuel injection timing, ignition timing, valve timing depends on the engine's temperature also. Okay, this is because the cold engine requires rich air fuel mixture, whereas the engine running at optimum operating temperature requires lean mixture. Okay, so due to this it is very important function. So the engine temperature sensor informs the engine's ECU about the current ongoing and variations in engine temperature. Now ECU in turn adjusts and regulate the fuel quantity and ignition timing. Now the data from the engine temperature sensor provide readings for the engine temperature gauge on the dashboard. So based on this data, the ECU also controls the additional functions such as switching on off the engine coolant fan. Okay, now where is the coolant temperature sensor is located inside the engine? So actually this engine coolant temperature sensor is primarily located in the coolant passage of the liquid cooled engine. Okay, and it is typically near the thermostat valve. Okay, so the engine temperature sensor connect either to the temperature gauge or to the temperature indicator in the dashboard. So in modern cars you can notice that there is no separate engine temperature sensor gauge. Okay, instead there is a tiny light which is symbolizing the engine temperature, which is integrated with a RPM meter. Okay, now upon turning the engine on turning the engine on, and letter C also lights along with the temperature symbol and indicating that the engine is cold. Okay, it should automatically disappear once the engine warms up and its optimum temperature is actually achieved. Okay, so where are the common causes of the failure of this sensor? So in most cases the engine temperature sensor fails due to the corrosion. Okay, so this is because its exposure to the engine coolant. Okay, because it is corroding it. So it may also fail if the coolant leaks through the wiring connectors. Okay, so how to spot any faulty coolant temperature sensor? So like any component which is under the bonnet, coolant temperature sensor can develop faults over a time. Okay, so a faulty sensor can lead to the range of the problems developing, including the overheating and the poor engine performance. Fine. So that's why it is important to know how to spot the signs of the faulty, or you can say failing temperature sensor before it can cause the further problems. Okay, which could actually prove more expensive to fix. Now how to do this? So start by having a look at the unit itself to check its conditions, as the sensor gasket, you can say connectors, can develop crack with extended use, or you can say continuous temperature cycling. Okay, so the coolant temperature sensor is usually found at the front of the car near the thermostat housing or on the radiator. Okay, so while a visual check can help to diagnose some fault, at all, not all the problems are associated with a CTS which is showing these symptoms. Okay, so here I have given the other signs and the symptoms which can also indicate the coolant temperature sensor issues. Okay, first is irregular reading of the dashboard gauge. So it should be between the 80 to 90 degrees centigrade when the engine is warm up. Now overheating engine, so highlighted by the dashboard gauge. So check the engine light alert on the dashboard. Okay, thereafter rough engine sound while idling limit is performance. Okay, it is caused by the ECU miscalculations for the and it is giving the rich mixture. Okay, thereafter poor fuel economy. Okay, so these are all the reasons. Now what to do if the engine temperature sensor fails? So if you see that the engine temperature symbol C is lighted continuously, does not disappear even after some time, it indicates that there is some problem in the engine cooling system. Also the engine temperature goes above the prescribed levels, okay, almost above the 100 degrees centigrade. Another symbol, a high temperature indicator light high, or you can say H light, okay, which reads up in the red color indicating that engine is overheating. Okay, furthermore it is not safe to drive the car with an indicator H, as it may cause further damage or seizure of your engine. Okay, so stop the car and look for any coolant. Generally it is green color leakage. Okay, so if there is a noticeable leakage, do not drive the car if that is in the condition. Instead tow it to the nearby service station and check for the repair. Okay, next is how to check your vehicle's oil level, that means oil level indicator. Okay, so you should check your car's oil at once every month to make sure that there is enough oil and that it isn't contaminated. Okay, so oil reduces the friction in your engine and keeps it running smoothly. Fine. So where your check your oil, if it is dirty or smells of the gasoline, it's time to replace your oil. Okay, so you should also check the levels using the oil dipstick. If your oil is clean but only reaches the add part of your dipstick, it will actually need to add the more oil. Okay, now the process for how to check your oil is very simple and it involves using the dipstick to see the levels of the test quality. Okay, so to find out whether your vehicle needs oil, just follow these steps. First, pull out the dipstick and wipe it off by the clean cloth. Okay, be sure that the engine is cold and it is not run, so just keep it under the 10 minutes if it is running before you check the oil level. Okay, the location of the oil dipstick depends on whether your vehicle has a inline engine or V-line engine. Okay, so if it is front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, you need to locate it. If you have the transverse engine, you can say 4-wheel drive, your dipstick should be located near the front of the engine. Okay, second, insert the stick back into the pipe. Okay, so what you need to do, if the dipstick gets stuck in its way, turn it around. So the pipe it fits into, it is actually curved and the metal sticks bend naturally in the direction of the curve. If you put it back in the way, it is coming out. Okay, next step, pull the dipstick out again and look at the film of the oil on the end of the stick. Okay, now note how high the oil film reaches on the dipstick and the condition of the oil, and add or changes the oil as needed. Okay, you don't add oil into the tiny tube that the dipstick sits in. That is just asking for the massive frustration. Okay, now look for the screw off cap on the top of the largest part of the engine. It could be blank or it could be labeled oil cap. Okay, now something which is similar to this. Okay, and it might even indicate which grade of the oil you might actually install in your car. Okay, now only unscrew the cap and add the oil if it is needed. Okay, so just give the level up. Next step, put the dipstick back into the pipe and it's done. Okay, now note that oil turns black pretty quickly, but that doesn't affect the quality. So rub a little between your thumbs and the index finger and check if it leaves dirty smudge. It probably needs to be changed. Okay, and if your oil looks clean enough but only reaches the add level on dipstick, only you need to add the oil. Fine. So this is how the oil level indicator works and you need to check the oil. Fine. So that's it in this video. We discussed the main topics in this session. I wish you get the clear idea about this. Therefore, if you have any more to know or have any specific query, please let me know. I will surely try to respond as soon as possible. Fine. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Goodbye.